because then it made it readable. But it's getting worse and worse. You can't hardly hear it all anymore.
What does it say up there?
You can't.
I know that my Redeemer liveth, I think. And then I'll have to go home and look at my pictures because it's worn enough now that you can't see it at all. But that's hers.
1880.
Margaret Hussey Brower.
She's the one we come from?
Yep.
1822.
Margaret Elizabeth Hussey.
18, what is that, 85? 90?
1880.
1880, yep.
I think it's a 0, isn't it?
Yeah.
1985.
No, it's a
1820 to 1885.
1820,
She's only 65.
But they all do.
There's a lot of family in the cemetery, flocks up in Oakley area. And he was up there tending to them, you know, checking out properties and stuff. And it could have been a flu. It could have been something in his stomach. He just got sick suddenly and died. But there's family legend about possibly being poisoned.
And that was
one
Uriah
of the
Coates
later
Brower.
wives that, I don't know that he ever really lived with his wife. He really did take care of a lot of his wife. I'll have to send you the picture, the first picture that I took of this one when I wet it. And then you could read the writing.
I can't read these.
John Thompson and Minerva and Melissa and Gertrude, these were children of Uriah Coates and Mary J. Brower. This one, Jane, is the daughter of Uriah and Margaret Thompson. It doesn't have Thompson here, but Margaret Thompson Brower. And there's some of their children. But Margaret Thompson had a sister whose name was Hannah. This one was probably named after her, Hannah Thompson. And Hannah married John Winder, who was a counselor to Brigham Young. And they had a child. She had a boy that died, and then she had several miscarriages, and her live birth was a little girl, and I think the little girl's name was Anne. Can't remember for sure. But Winders had several farms. You know how they did there, and wives would take care of these different enterprises. Well, Hannah and one of the other wives took care of this, whatever it was, that's farm of his, and he would come around occasionally and visit. But the sister wife was visiting family, and Hannah was home with her child, and John Winders had hired a 14-year-old orphan boy, and he had come in the house to help do something, and it was very cold. I think it was around Christmas time. I think that's why the sister wife was gone visiting family. And it was late, and so she said she was downstairs sleeping in a sister wife's bed with her child. And she just said, why don't you sleep upstairs in my room instead of having to go out in the cold? And so he did. And the next day, he jokingly said that he had slept in Hannah's bed. And the word got back to John, and he was embarrassed. He felt that his reputation had been soiled, and he would have nothing to do with Hannah after that. And it broke her heart. She had done nothing, but he really quite disowned her. And she went to Brigham Young, and she said, because she talks about in her history about, I have covenanted to have children. And she wanted desperately to fulfill this covenant. She only had this little girl. And Brigham Young just basically threw his hands in the air and stood by this counselor of his. I won't buy things from Winder Farms to this day. This guy was terrible to this poor woman. So she was granted, she came up here to Richmond because her sister Margaret had a bunch of kids by Uriah, and she came up here and lived with them and taught school and eventually married Uriah. So these two sisters. And then when Margaret passed away, Hannah took care of her children as well. But later in life, once in a great while, John Winders would send money to buy his daughter a pair of shoes. And she went to him, this daughter went to John Winders later in life, like just before he died, and just said, why? What happened? You know, what's going on? And he apologized. You know, it was pride. It was pride that he had that he had let this marriage go. Anyway, I've never forgiven the man. Anyway, so this Margaret Thompson and her father and a sister, Cornelius, something or another, came across the plains together, and their sister married while they were crossing the plains, and like died on her married night. It was just the weirdest thing, and buried someplace. Anyway, so this is the three sisters.
So how many wives did he have?
Many, 12 or 16 eventually.
There's a whole bunch. And people keep messing it up on the family search.
Dad's research was really, really good, and I've posted it on Family Search now of the research that he did, and it lists all the wives and some of the controversy and stuff. But I have a great love for this family. I believe it's this one that Liesl. I'll have to find out for sure. It's either this one or
That's
Mary. Margaret Thompson Brower, and then there's a Mary that we saw the picture of over there, and I can't remember which one that Liesl comes. It's the third wife, whichever one.